Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 113 is out, and this was another good chapter, which also teases us even more about who Percival might actually be and what his powers truly are. And it is killing me because I want to find out, and I honestly do want a break week so I could actually dive into this power and maybe some other sources if I can, because I don't have the time to do that in regular videos. But at the same time, I don't want this story to stop because I do want to see what happens next. Very conflicting. But that aside, we had a really good chapter this week, and I am continuously very happy with how this training arc is progressing, because I know there are those that are complaining that this is a training arc in the middle of getting ready for a big fight. But you have to remember, there isn't really any kind of training in this series up until now. We've just had one big fight after the other, with the main cast, primarily Percival and his friends, barely making it out alive with every single encounter. And the only reason they managed to get away at the end was because outside interference or through luck. And Leonis' arc, literally, Arthur just left because he saw the rest of the Sins were getting ready to help Meliodas from all the way across Britannia to launch attacks from that far of a distance, just waiting for Meliodas to give the call. So we have to remember that Percival was not ready, and now we're getting an instance of what Percival can do. His friends need to be ready to fight the Chaos Knights. We still need more for Gawain and Tristan to properly develop. Lancelot's the only one that actually doesn't need any kind of training. But that all out of the way, let's get right into the chapter. But first, before any of that, only 26% of the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel, so if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for these and future videos. It helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make on this channel, and it makes me more and more encouraged to keep this up in the future. I hope to make it to 10k subs by the end of the year. Very big claim, but I do think we can manage it. So chapter 113 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Sarura Indu. And we actually start off with the Tristan platoon, with Tristan sulking over the bridge at the Demon King's castle, where Isolde is asking what's wrong with Tristan, as he seems kind of strange. He's actually very down over what happened with Schwartz, but as you remember, Gion just told Tristan that he's not going to say anything to Isolde, as that would just make her worry even more. And Gion is kind of just evading the question, being like, is he acting weird? While secretly, being all smug about that yesterday was a big secret between him and Tristan. But then, all of a sudden, his pouch containing the 4 items that he uses to summon his spirits fall out, and his spirits all come out, looking very worried and even scared. He scolds them for saying not to just jump out whenever they want because he didn't call for them, but Isolde says that they look afraid, and Gion remembers that he's actually seen this happen once before, and if you can remember right, it was the moment that they met Percival for the first time, as we then cut back to Percival encountering his stand. I know that's not the actual term for it, but it's just easier for me to call it a stand at this point, or a clone. I'm going with stand because I like JoJo's. But it's honestly really nice for us to get this type of thing from Gion's spirits, because this shows that whatever is happening with Percival doesn't seem natural, or it just is very unsettling to spirits from nature. And this did happen during his encounter with Gion in the Tristan platoon, and Percival entered his despair form, scaring Gion's spirits to literally let go of whatever spell they're utilizing. So that's a nice little callback, and shows that there's something up with Percival's powers. Now, back into the chapter, we see that Percival encounters his stand, as he repeats the name Sarura Indu, a piece of our Great One, as his stand smirks and says, "Ring any bells?" Percival has no idea. But then the stand is like, okay, how about this? And then says, Vas Zigra, awake. And he's like, well? And Percival has no real idea. And his stand is concerned, being like that it must have been way too long, since he doesn't remember anything. But Percival's like, look, I'm sorry, but you're not making any sense to me here at all. But Lancelot calls off from the background and saying, training's not over yet, as he begins to shift his magic-shaped weapon, and saying that he be level 2, fine. Now we're on to level 3. As Percival's stand goes up and says, let me take this round 2. As Lancelot then stomps on the ground and pushes back the clone as he begins to enhance into level 3. as he begins to bluster, stating, "Entertain me a little, why don't ya?" As Percival instantly recognizes that the person that Lancelot is impersonating is the Black Knight Pelgard. Man, even though Lancelot is just basically pretending to be Pelgard, I miss Pelgard so much. It's been like 50 chapters since we've seen him. It's been a whole year since we saw Pelgard, and I want some Pelgard in my series. Is that too much to ask? But Percival's clone says, "This guy, huh? I don't really mind him at all. He's the reason Percival awoke to me in the first place." And yeah, that makes sense. In Pelgard's encounter with Percival in like chapter 3, 4, he awakened Percival's magical power through their fight. So another really good callback to earlier in the series. And not only that, we get nice action as well. Lancelot and the clone begin to exchange blows, going blow for blow, with the clone evading Lancelot with the exact same trick he did in level 2. But Lancelot says, "Same trick won't work with me twice," but then the clone then dissipates once more and appears behind Lancelot a second time, landing another hit, stating "You missed again," knocking Lancelot back, shocking everyone that the clone managed to do this so easily. But the clone states, well, it's still Pelgard based off of Percival's memories. So he never really went all out against Percival to begin with, so that was possibly half of Pelgard's full strength, which is impressive in and of itself, considering that I don't think if he didn't go all out in his fight when he fought Percival, maybe when he faced off the 4 knights and just basically ran away, he wasn't going all out either, which honestly is kind of fun to think about also, since he knocked Gawain flat on her feet without even going all out, if that is true. But either way, the clone goes on to stay, but I'm not exercising my full force either. Lancelot gets up and says, "And that's level 3. Not too shabby." As he says, "Time for level 4. He begins to alter his power once more, as this gets the attention of the clone and says, "Fine. But before that, this is still Percival's training, isn't it? Don't want to butt in any further. Pushing you around's done wonders for my stress as well. And besides, with this guy, it won't mean anything unless Percival himself is your opponent." And Percival's thinking, what does that mean? It won't mean anything. As he then realizes, wait, I know this feeling. The Red Knight, Ironside. As level 4 is Ironside, as I do kind of expect this. Which also kind of means if Percival's training goes further, maybe level 5 is maybe Gawain for all we know. That'd be pretty interesting to think about. But yeah, Lancelot goes into Ironside as everyone's speculating, wait, Percival has to fight Ironside solo, and that it took all 4 of them to just barely make it out of it. They didn't really do anything, and it was all because of Nazian's poison that they even stood remotely of a chance to actually survive at the end of the day. And so Percival just says, maybe so, but I've done a lot of growing since then. I'm sure I can hold my own, or at least do alright, or maybe not get throttled anyway. Once again, this gets the attention of the clone, as the clone then goes over and says, "Let me help once more in the end." And Lancelot's like, "No discipline at all, I see. Taking it back that fast? Well, fine. It'll be 2-on-1, if you like." But the clone says, no, not like that. It'll be Percival doing all the fighting, as the clone then dissipates into its many Percival bubbles, and then enters Percival's body, as Percival realizes that the magic force in his body is beginning to just swell up. All that magic is going right into his body as he feels it down from his hand to his fingertips. His feet, everything, every instance of his body, he feels all this power. As the clone is speaking to Percival from within his head, stating your entire nervous system has been sharpened to be exact, and warns Percival that Lancelot is coming. As Percival just narrowly manages to dodge a blade strike from Lancelot. Lancelot strikes once more, but Percival manages to dodge. As Lancelot says, "Now it's my turn," as he does a barrage of slashes towards Percival incredibly quickly, shocking everybody that there's no time to dodge. Percival jumps away, and he says there's no way I can evade, but then looks behind him and notices he's on the other side of the field. As Lancelot looks over, as everyone else is concerned, that was just a very big leap, and that reaction time was kind of very quick, much to Percival's shock. And Percival is asking, what did he do just now? As, well, the clone says, I didn't really do anything, all this was your power. But you gotta learn to temper it. You're on a narrow cliff, and you'd be falling right now. By now, I think you can tell just how little power you've been tapping into, as we get an image of Percival and the clone in Percival's mind space. Alright, You need to perfectly master which parts of your body make what kinds of moves and which timing and force. So it seems Percival's getting that technical shonen, battle shonen trouble having like another personality within him or a helper. So this is Percival's full power, and the clone is trying to show Percival what he can in fact do by exiting his body, showing what Percival can do by bypassing level 2 and 3, then using his power to go into Percival, boosting his nervous system, his reaction time, and his senses, so that Percival can learn to utilize his actual power to varying degrees, and also just learn how to utilize his power properly. Percival's asking why the clone is doing this for him, as Lancelot then begins to do another barrage of attacks, mimicking Ironside, with the final page of the chapter being Percival turning around and blocking one of the attacks. As the clone just says, it's simple, you have a duty to punish Ironside. Ending the chapter. So this was another really cool chapter, nice action scenes, I gotta say, and I like the way we jumped straight to level 4. This shows that we're not going to spend too many chapters on each of these levels, and the next chapter is probably going to be a conclusion to the Ironside level 4 fight. And I cannot wait to see what we can get from this. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't mind this power-up Percival's getting at all, as this is technically his own power with a split personality that's basically giving him a guide. He's like a split personality for all we know. But what interests me is how it says, it's been too long, you don't remember, or something else referring to this piece of the Great One, or some other phrase about awaken or whatever. And that honestly shows that Percival is not what he seems. He might not even be human, he might be some part of some greater being. And this was stated in like one of the comments that chaos is reference to Greek mythology from my previous videos, and also that name that we got, Endu, was probably something from like Eldritch horror or Lovecraftian horror or something like that. So we could see other pieces of mythology or works put into this universe, and Percival might be a part of an entirely different being other than chaos, which is something that's very interesting, and I do want to dive into this at some point. But I feel like we're getting more and more information on Percival, or at least more teases, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. Maybe wait until like some future break week to do that. I like the big callbacks to the previous chapters with Percival's despair form and his awakening to his magic power at the very beginning of the story, and the fact that the spirits are afraid of whatever Percival is or what his power is. That states that this might not be 100% good, and this being that is within Percival, this stand power or what have you, is more concerned over helping Percival grow. But we have no idea if it's just doing this to some sinister degree, or really does want to help Percival in whatever way it can, because Percival is the main body. Percival's power needs to be used by Percival, and it's just guiding him, which I think is a pretty clever idea to utilize this kind of thing, and not something that's completely out of Percival's control. And I cannot wait to see how this training arc progresses and makes Percival even stronger. I wish I had a bit more to say, but this video would end up being like 50 minutes long if I just kept going round and round going into it. There was mainly just action and showcasing what Percival can do, and just the whole idea of Percival's speed, strength, and even reaction time getting such a big boost, and getting a taste of what power he's been tapping into was only very little to what his full potential can be. I'm excited, and I cannot wait to see how this training montage against Ironside is. And for all we know, Ironside wasn't even at his full strength, which shows a lot, considering that Pelgard was perhaps at half strength, and that was level 3 and weaker than Ironside, so we got a lot to think about. But yeah, that was really chapter 113 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Really great chapter, I enjoyed it, I got theory juices flowing, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. But what did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts, opinions, and theories in the comment section down below. And once more, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make on the channel, and it encourages me to keep this going for as long as I possibly can. And I can't wait for next week's chapter. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.